Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Stepping Forward Ministries, our podcast, Southern Soul Chats. What's cool about today is it is the season finale of our summer series. Woo! So Stories of Faith. This is probably my favorite season, my favorite podcast to do, to run, because I feel so blessed hearing all the stories. And so in all honesty, this week was supposed to be another testimony. And we actually had two planned. And neither one worked out. And that's just how God does it sometimes. And so
best laid plan.
I'm telling you. And so there'd been something on my heart, but I just wasn't really sure about it. And then it didn't work out. And, my good friend Leah Dyer, you guys know her. I ran it by her and she was like, I think that's a great idea. And we got together and compared some notes. And so today we are literally what is it? Flipping.
The tables have turned.
The tables have turned. Yes. And so for all of you who've heard the voice of the famous Leah Dyer on Southern Soul Chats, today you get to see her beautiful face. So it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce today's host, Leah Dyer.
That's terrifying.
She's so excited. Don't let her lie to you. And what we've decided to do today is in talking, this year has been crazy. And in talking, Leah and I talking, it's been 3 years. 3 years that this ministry birthed, started, feels like a roller coaster that shot out and hasn't stopped.
Like a bullet roller coaster.
Yes, like a bullet. And so we wanted to circle back around and just update and tell you where we're at 3 years later. And so the best way to do that was for me to sit in this chair and her to sit in that chair.
We'll determine if it's the best. We'll see how
it was
this goes.
Best. Totally the best. So I would like you all to give a warm welcome to your host today, Leah Dyer.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you.
They've heard your voice. I always
lot.
feel like it's way past due that they're seeing your face because they've heard your voice last summer.
Yeah.
All of last summer.
Yeah.
And then they've heard your voice in just different here and there's, right? And then I know they've heard your name or they've read your name in a bulletin or you wrote our prayer last year for school.
Yep.
So Leah Dyer has been everywhere, but it's who is this mystery woman, Leah Dyer?
It's me. Hello.
So this ought to be really fun.
I was just thinking this morning while I was getting ready, I was thinking about how our paths converged.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of a cool place to maybe start with this.
Yeah.
I got a phone call one day from Miranda and I didn't know who Miranda was.
But I had your number.
I had seen you once. I think I had met you once or twice, but we weren't friends at that point. Yeah. And you were talking about an opportunity for ministry at the church where we used to go together.
Yep.
And you said, hey, you want to come join me on this? And I'm like, okay. And then you said, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm doing this whole other thing and I don't even know what I'm doing yet. And I don't really know why God called me to this. And I think he might be crazy and I'm not sure that I'm the right person for this, but I guess I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to do it. And I'm like, yeah, you should do it. Absolutely. You should do it. And I literally had just talked to you for the first time. I'm like, oh, this person. I hung up the phone and I thought, oh yeah, she's doing it.
It's funny because when we that whole season when we met, there was a lot going on with you and your health and things. There was some other struggles too. And here I am being thrown into, I don't know what this is that I'm supposed to be doing. And God was doing a lot of crazy stuff. And most people court in a new friendship.
Oh yeah.
You court, right? You do the we're going to text a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit. Not us. I went to Leah's house. I sat down on a chair. She shared a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. I shared a whole bunch of stuff. And it was boom, we're doing it.
And you literally were like, I think there's a place for you at this. We're going to do this. And are you in? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. And I couldn't explain any of it. I remember sitting there. I remember leaving going, I am a nut job.
I always joke about that. I think I've said it in previous episodes that before you and I knew each other's favorite color, we were already on a retreat together praying about the direction of the ministry. Literally, I'm not kidding. I heard Miranda's testimony in the car on the way to the retreat.
Yeah.
For the first time.
And the retreat was just a retreat of two.
Just us two.
Yeah.
But sometimes your spirit just knows, you know, and I think it's been a real privilege to walk alongside you in this. You know, I told my husband sometimes it feels like a Barnabas situation, you know, I'm just there to encourage and support. And so it is kind of cool to get to talk to you about it today, because we've been talking about it for 3 years.
Every single
constantly.
day.
Yeah.
That's what's really unique about having Leah be able to do this, is that Leah honestly has a front row seat with a huge bucket of popcorn to my life in not just ministry, but all the intimate details, the ins and outs, the ups and downs, the good days, the bad days. Like, she really does walk through it all with me. So to have her do it, and it's one thing to have her do it's amazing, but it's one thing for me to sit here and be like, let me tell you about this ministry and but it's another thing to have somebody who saw it, who's like, y'all, when she says that was tough, like, we were on the couch at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, or we were I mean, because it just shows that, this is authentic and this is real life. And you have been front row seated to it. And I'm not sure if I should apologize.
It's a privilege, actually. I mean, of course it's challenging. Of course it's hard. But I think the reason that there was an instant connection there and a trust, I think it was like a sisterhood right away, was because the Holy Spirit was ready to go. And we were both responsive in that moment. I think it's cool too, when you think about in the history of Scripture, when you read it, a lot of times it's just, here I am, send me.
Yeah.
And you have no idea
None.
what you're getting into. You just know that you want to be on the team of that God. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that was really what it was for you. You had your time of sort of doubting that the calling was right and all of that, and not wanting to move. But the moment you were ready, you decided, I'm just going to do this. Here I am. Let's go.
Yeah.
It was like God just, I want to say threw up all over it, but that's a terrible thing to say.
Look, he was definitely on a fast track program.
He just poured it out. It was like, and then you're going, oh my gosh, I got to keep up now. So
and
let's talk about that.
Felt that way. It has felt that way. And I would say it still kind of feels that way, but we're finally, as we get through this, like, and you hear more, it's finally like a more steady, like there still are some places like that, but I think finally after 3 years, maybe.
Well, there's a rhythm to it. I think
finding the rhythm.
When you see God's faithfulness happen enough, we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to ask you about that, because it is relentless faithfulness. It's pretty remarkable what He's done and what He's multiplied with. Basically, you're just, here I am, send me. You know, and that was the instruction Jesus gave. Follow me.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. Right. And that's what you chose to do. So there becomes this rhythm, right? Where you get a crazy calling, you go, oh my gosh, no. And then you go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I've done this before. He's going to show up.
Yeah.
If He's calling me to do this and I feel inadequate, that's probably a sign it's time to go.
Yeah.
Because that means you're not going to take the reins.
Yeah.
So take me back to that.
Yeah.
Take me back to the very beginning, 3 years ago, and kind of where we left off. I was trying to remember where we left off in your initial podcast episodes, where you talked about.
So we had started at the end. So let's back up so people understand. So when
we
started the very first podcast, I didn't know what in the world, like, I'm not a podcaster.
You were just going to tell your story.
Yeah. So I was going to tell my story
with Tanya.
And so for the first 3 episodes of Southern Soul Chats, that's what we did. We didn't really tell much of a backstory, like who I was or where I came from or all my dirty laundry. We started with how we ended up in Texas, because that was key.
Yeah, it was.
That was huge.
Yeah.
How God sent me back to Alabama. And then we talked about how being here over a course of what was now 3 years ago. So what, year 5, because this is year 8, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So year 5, we were at year 5 in Texas. And that we had put our yes on the table.
Yep.
This was our first podcast. We didn't know what we were doing, but here you go. And our season's going to be a lot of people like us sharing their testimonies. And literally, I would turn the microphone off and be like, oh, dear Lord.
Help me. I hope that didn't suck.
Yeah. Oh, please let this be okay, because I don't know what I'm doing.
I was thinking Leah's back, so it better not be an hour and a half episode.
They're like, we just got down to 45
all of
minutes.
You who listened to it before the video.
So we just pretty much left off with, this is who we are. This is what God's called. This is the ministry.
Yeah.
And at this moment, 5 years ago, all we know is we're starting a podcast. And we're just going to pray that God works the rest out. Because at that point, we were only able to start the podcast because we had had our first fundraiser and we had raised the money to do it. And so it was really still very new and very wet.
Yeah, it was.
And chaotic.
So what did God put on your mind when you started that? What was he saying to you about stepping forward?
So what's crazy is that when stepping forward, the yes happened, because if you watch, you find out that I pulled a Jonah and I really tried to run, and I fast and furious, and there was months. And so literally when I just put the yes on the table, as Brad Kilgore so graciously gave me the best ministerial advice you could, right? That was what I got, was just put your yes on the table and he'll work it out. And I thought, you went to school for that? Wow, okay.
I'm going to need to go to therapy for this later.
Wow, this is going to be a lot of fun, Brad. But I did. I put the yes on the table when all the things happened. And all I could remember with Stepping Forward Ministries was just, here I am, Lord. And if you're asking me to do this, I know you ask other people too. So how can I work in that space? And what can I do? And podcasting was never originally on the table. Never.
No, I remember that. Yeah, it came up.
Yeah, it was more, we were really in a season of just like, well, how do you do this? Because do you write? Do you start writing and then you put something out? Do you just try to go speak in places? Well, nobody knows who you are, so why they don't want you to speak? Why? Because you have this story about coming to Texas. Woo, that's real special, right? So, what is it? And one of my board members, who I just love, he just kept saying, Miranda, I just keep coming back. I just keep coming back to what's popular right now is podcasting, and it's easy, and it wouldn't cost us that much. We could you could fundraise for that, and I was like, the whole time I'm on the phone, and I'm just like, I hate social media. I don't even listen to podcasts, and I don't have anything to say, so I don't know. But what happened is, what God did in that moment was one of the very first things that I remember and that stick out to me, is that prior to that conversation, there had been a nudge about possibly a podcast, but I couldn't understand the nudge because I didn't know anything about podcasts. To me, 3 years ago, I thought podcasting was this major thing, right? Huge. And
broadcast kind of person.
Oh, you've got to have all this stuff, and it's so expensive. And it seemed very, very showy almost, right? And
production,
again,
a production.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, I don't even have a story. So what am I going to product,
Product.
Yeah, what am I going to product for a production? And so, yes, this is what we're working with, people. So when Joe said that to me on the phone call that we had, instantly God took me to that moment where it was like that seed. And so I just thought about it and leaned into it. And as a board, we all met, we talked about it, and we were just like, let's just see what God does. If he provides the money, we'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that was the biggest step of faith that you took after
Yes.
After saying
yes. Do you know
yes.
how scary it is to get on a microphone and share your life and the things you're learning and growing and asking other people, like when I ask you to do it, to go out to thousands of people so that they now know things about you. It's very scary, and it's hard to know if, and then there's that thing that I don't really have anything to say. Well, how could I say anything that would help anybody?
All the ways we disqualify ourselves. Yeah.
And especially early on, and I still do it some, but I am my biggest disqualifier.
I think that's true for most people.
I can disqualify me in about 1.2 milliseconds. Like all the reasons we shouldn't do this, right? And so, that was a huge step of faith to even believe that anybody out there would want to hear anything that I had to say. And so you got to know that when that first podcast went out, I just wouldn't even go near trying to see. We had a system, so it would tell us how many downloads or whatever. And I remember telling Tanya, I seriously believe, Tanya, that first podcast, will be lucky if 8 people listen to it.
Hey, that's 8 people.
Because I counted all the people that I knew that may
have the link.
Yes, that have the link, and they just may wonder, could she really do this? And seriously, we had, within 2 days, 175 downloads, and I almost fell out of the chair because I was counting and I couldn't even count to 175 people I know.
I'm just thinking of the loaves and fish and how it's you start with so little and then God can multiply so much. And I remember talking to you about the first seasons of the podcast and even about choosing board members. I think we talked a little bit about that. Or it was like every time you had a thought, this avenue of the ministry could use some help, you would show up somewhere and talk to a person you'd never met, just like with me, sort of.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I'm doing this thing that God called me to, and something's telling me you're supposed to do it with me. And they would be like, okay.
Like, no, they wouldn't even bat an eye. Like, I remember there was this one particular thing where we may need a lawyer, not because we were in trouble, but like it was more of a lawyer question just to make sure. And I'm sitting in the bathroom praying and being like, Lord, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to get in trouble. But I don't know a lawyer. And I walked in the post office 20 minutes later, and there was a lawyer standing there. And I said, do you practice like for a nonprofit? He's like, wow, do you have one? I was like, yeah, and I just have this question. Can I make an appointment? He's like, we're here now. What's the question? And he tells me exactly that everything's fine and what to do. And I walk out and I go,
I remember that.
Like, God delivered me a lawyer in the post office.
So I think this idea of him going before is really important, because his provision, when you take a step forward, like this ministry, and then you see his faithfulness time and time again. There's a scripture, I think it's in Isaiah, that says, before they even know what they're praying for, I'm already going to answer it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what he did. And with the previous podcast episodes too, it was, at first it was like, oh, I don't know how we're going to get a full season. And then it was like, I have too many for this season, and we're going to have to do more. And so it's this testimony of abundance, in equipping you to do what you needed to do, in putting the support structure in place slowly over time. Also, God equipping you to know how to utilize that support structure, because that was another thing we had to learn, right? And then bringing all of these people. I can remember sitting on my back porch one day, and we talked on the phone for like 3 hours that day. And I said, Miranda, I got to tell you, what I see happening with Stepping Forward is there's all these people that had a story to tell, but nowhere to tell it.
Yeah.
And it was like God just said, now you step forward and you tell your story, and you step forward and you tell your story. And so God gave you in those first seasons, it was 2, wasn't it? I think it was 2 seasons.
I think so. I think we ran that 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
God gave you this front row seat to watching the testimonies of all these people about how they stepped forward. And
there's nothing, that's why I say that this is my favorite ones. First off, we had such an overwhelming response.
Yeah.
Like, I would have people call me and be like, when's the next one coming out?
Yeah.
When's the next, how soon? How fast?
Yeah.
And is it as good as the last one? And I'd be like, you just got to watch. Sorry. Like, I can't tell you that. But to be in the seat you're in, right? These people come in, they tell testimonies, and we share it, and encourages the people. But do you know what an honor it is, especially at that point, because we were doing weekly. So every week a podcast came out, which was crazy exhausting.
It was
and
very tiring.
Many people. But to sit every week and see the faithfulness of God. You want to talk about a ministry and being like tanked up and God giving your needs. It's to be smart, to be God, and be so smart to be like, it's the beginning. I know you're scared. I know you don't know what you're doing. So week after week after week after week, I'm going to let you hear stories that are amazing, that are gut wrenching, that are crazy and twisted. I mean, you name it, we've pretty much just about had it. And then in every one of those stories, you're going to see how faithful I was. And then how can you think that I wouldn't be that faithful to you?
And there's a biblical link to that. I mean, we see it in Old Testament tradition of that oral history, people telling the stories of what God did over and over again. Tell your children, tell their children, tell their children. And so it's cool to think that God unwittingly, no, he knew, you were unwittingly made a part.
I was the unwit.
Yeah. Made a part of this. And so there's beautiful provision for you there. And I mean, I think we can't talk about provision without talking about the financial provision, because the word nonprofit
means
what it sounds like.
It literally means nonprofit. And let me say this real quick, because I want to clear up some confusion. This has been something that's really been kind of swirling around, especially this year a lot, is that nonprofits get a bad name. And it's because we do, and I'm not going to sit here and name drop them, but there are very large nonprofits in this world. And yes, people don't understand when they say no profit. They do understand there's no money, but they don't understand that nonprofits also have bills like payroll and power. Well, not
taxes,
us, because we're here in our house, but most that are able to be sustained. Like they have to pay people. Like nobody who's watching this goes to work without a paycheck. Mm-hmm. But most of us in nonprofit, we do. We go to work every day. There is no paycheck. But yet I still have to pay. I have to pay for somebody to put this podcast out. I have to pay, if I had an office, I'd have to pay for the power. I'd have to pay for somebody who answers the door, who answers the phone. And so nonprofits get this kind of bad name and going, oh my gosh, like you made money. You must be a bad nonprofit. And yes, there are nonprofits out there that are way bigger. We're talking millions of dollars. And sometimes we get burned with that. But in true nonprofit, in ministries that are like mine or ministries that go out and do recovery work, like what we saw in Kerrville, these guys are straight up doing it with their own money and their own time, taking off work, taking their paid vacation, sometimes not paid vacation, strictly because this is what God's told him to do.
Well, it's a tithe, really. It's an offering to God. You know, here, I'm going to give you my time, my talents, whatever. And that's what it's been for you too.
Yeah.
But what's crazy about this? Okay, y'all, this is for real. When Miranda started having to fundraise, it literally made her break out in hives. And she was literally like terrified to do it.
It was horrible.
I'm outing that aspect.
It was horrible.
And she kept saying, I don't know why God's making me do this. This is the worst thing I've ever done. I don't want to do this. I just want to talk to people. I don't want to. But let me tell you, the newsflash is that she's actually really good at it because she's not out for money all the time.
Yeah.
And so
that was a terrible time in my life.
And she was very stressed about this. Guys, like, I'm not joking. She was very stressed about this.
Well, the money aspect is hard for me. It's hard for a lot of things. Like God really brings things to the surface to show you in your personality. So first off, there was a major pride issue. I am a very independent person. I have never had to ask for anything in my whole entire life. I was a school teacher, so yes, I didn't make a lot of money, but I had amazing parents who would always step up and supply whatever our kids needed in abundance, like never. And if we didn't, then God had blessed me in a season where I'd have money from somewhere and I could do it. So I never had been really put in a position to need to ask for help.
To sing for your supper, sort of.
Yes. But in a nonprofit, you have to report to the government that money, that's how you get money. It has to come in from somewhere else.
Fundraising.
And clearly, like we as a family in this house, we are able to put funds in, but we can't fund it or we lose our nonprofit status.
Right.
So this ministry seriously relies on that. And I say that, I'm not saying that so somebody gets their checkbook out and writes it. I'm saying it because when God put me...
I'll say it if you want to. Please feel free to.
In the moment where our first fundraiser came up, it happened really fast.
It did.
It was...
month.
I thought it was going to be a planning opportunity.
Like a month or two?
Oh, it was a month. And it was ridiculous. We went from, can we do this, to holy moly, we're doing it in like a month. And I'd never done anything like that. Now, I'd done a lot of things that helped, but I had never had to single-handedly go to 136 businesses.
I'm remembering this that I'm like, oh my gosh, it really only was like a month.
It was a month. I had a month and I didn't know what to do or how to do it. And I did. Leah's not lying. I broke out in itching. I was itching all over. I couldn't stop. I couldn't sleep at night. I would get up and know that on my schedule, I had a babysitter come to watch my two little kids at the time, that I'd have somebody who had volunteered, who graciously had said, God told me to help you.
That was her tithe to the ministry.
Yeah, God told me to help you. So whatever you need, call me. I'm going to come watch your kids.
Yeah.
And I would know I had to walk out the door, and I would get dressed, and I would get in my car and almost lose.
Oh, I remember you
marbles.
calling me. This is not going to go well. I just know this is not going to go well. People are going to think I'm crazy. The minute I say Jesus, they're out the door, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of them did. I'm not going to lie. A lot of them did. And I think that stress made it worse was because...
Feels like rejection, sort of, yeah.
Even 3 years later, there's so much more rejection than there is acceptance. And it is no kidding. A large part of that, I don't want to say everybody because that wouldn't be true. But a large part is they're all in until they hear the word Christian, Bible, Jesus, and then their whole demeanor. And it really upset me. It made me mad. And then it made it to where it felt like I was defeated before I could even go and take another step. But even in that moment, I had forgot about this until right now. Even in that moment, I walked into a pool store that's local.
Oh yeah, I remember that too.
And I went to the pool store to ask for a sponsorship, and because that was what I was doing with the local businesses for what our fundraiser was. And there was a pastor.
I remember that.
And he asked me what I was doing. I told him how disheartened I was. And he sat there and gave me a 20-minute sermon.
I remember that.
And it was just God's divine appointment that he knew I was going there, and he knew that I was beat up and I didn't want to go one more day. Matter of fact, we can shut this whole thing down if this is what it looks like.
Well, I'm thinking of even Paul's letters talking about, if you only knew what we went through in that town, the places they were stoned, run out of town, they were, they were put in prison. You think, well, that was like then. Like,
no, it is now.
And in other countries in our world, it is now also. Yeah. But there's a version of it that was happening with you too. This idea that tough. I didn't expect people to, it's already awkward enough to ask for financial support, right? Yeah. But then you're going to it feels like virtue signaling to somebody else, sort of. They're now we're going to get judged. And I'm sure the pastors who are watching this are thinking, the second I say I'm a pastor, it's over, Mm-hmm. Or with you, the second I say I'm a counselor, a therapist, you're going to hear all their dirty laundry. Yeah. But I want to know, so tell me, what did God do financially? Is there stuff that stands out to you that just knocks your socks off?
Yes.
There's so many.
Yes, all 3 years. So our tournament, we have a pickleball tournament, and just the way God orchestrated that was daggone amazing anyway. So we have this pickleball tournament, and the first year, I'll never forget this, who was going to be a soon board member, he wasn't at the time, he was helping me transition it from how it had been handled into us handling it. Right. He sat me on the couch, and he's really businesslike, and he's like, Miranda, what are you hoping to earn? And Miranda, in her very
$3.50
business-like sense, said, I mean, if we can make $5,000, I think that might cover it. And I'll never forget, he looked at me and he said, wait, what? And I was like, just $5,000, if we can do that. He's like, Miranda, oh my.
We got to think bigger, child.
Miranda, are you is that what you think God can do? And I was like, I don't really know. But it seems like a lot of money, and I knew we needed podcast stuff, so I knew how much it cost.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and so what a great example of me minimizing, right? Me thinking in my little pea brain self, this is all God can do. Like, could you imagine if with the fish and loaves, like if they're like, well, here's my fish and loaves, and God had been like, well, I'll add one more, see if that'll handle it. Because that's the mentality, right? It's like,
that's how you felt.
What's the mentality that
you receive not because you ask?
Yes, yes. And so I will never forget. Kenny sat there and he goes, "How about we just aim for like 10?" I was like, "Can we say 7,500? Because 10 seems really like a lot. Like no need in like getting crazy here." And he's just like, "Oh, Miranda, oh, Miranda." So fundraiser happens. The cool thing about the sponsorships and all the things, even the saying God and Bible and people being like, the cool thing is that God taught me quite a few things. And one of them was, it doesn't come from where you think it comes from.
No, that's true. Yeah.
And that what I didn't know when I stepped out of my door and broke out in knives and shakes and couldn't sleep for days and that I was going to die was that God had already strategically placed every single person that he had already put on their heart that when this girl walks in for whatever reason,
they're ready.
You're going to want to do something.
They're ready. Yeah.
And this is what you're going to do. And they didn't know it either, right? So they didn't know it. They didn't know this girl's going to show up and be itching all over and trying to hide it for the 5 minutes she's talking to you.
And there's no joke about this. It got to be at the point, there was this season of time like that. And it wasn't just before pickleball. It was around and after pickleball too, where I kind of just knew if you called in the afternoon, it was going to be to tell me something God had just done.
Crazy. It was crazy.
And it was that much blessing and provision being poured out.
And we made $14,000.
It's exceedingly more than you could ask or imagine.
Everybody still goes, how did you make $14,000 on a neighborhood pickleball tournament? And
God made it.
Well, see, God told me to do blah, blah, blah. And it's just like anything else. Like, so the next year pickleball, so not this past year, but 2024, I didn't have the itching. I did have the anxiety. Yeah. The second year was a little easier because I'd faced what rejection looked like. There had been other bumps along the way in the ministry.
You knew what to expect too.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew a little better. It helped that the people who had said yes to me, that when I returned to them, for the majority of them had said yes. So it was like a confidence builder. And then I found God, I just kind of found new people. And then this year, and in that year, we went up a little bit to like 15 or 16. And I'm like, holy moly, I didn't even think we could do 14 again. I mean, hear me again, ye of so little faith. And then like this year, we almost hit $18,000.
That's amazing.
And
that was, we had a rained out day. We had
rained out day. We had two rained out days.
Yeah.
I mean, it was looking like we had the hot mess express. But it's not just that. Like I said, it's not just the pickleball. What I can tell you firsthand is that this ministry, that God has orchestrated every single thing. And for every crazy thing he has said to me that I thought there's just no way I can do this. I don't even know where to start or how to think or how to wrap my head. Not only has he shown up in it, but he has provided to almost the penny every single year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single year.
Yeah. And I think there's this beautiful thing. So you're a go-getter, capable, smart, energetic human. So people would expect you to accomplish stuff, to do stuff. And you probably expect that yourself. You're used to it. You're used to just going and getting it and doing what you have to do. The cool thing about what happened here is that there was this humility that was forced, if that makes any sense, where God was like, Miranda, just in case you think that this is you, I'm going to actually ask you to operate from a place of weakness the whole time.
It's very humbling.
Yeah. But that humility brings in this whole other level of awe. And I think you needed that awe to fuel this crazy train that you hopped on, that God asked you to hop on. It makes you bold. Yeah. And I think only God can make you feel humbled and emboldened at the same time.
Oh yeah. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's truly insane. And it's something, I don't know how other people operate and what they do, but it's something to look back over the 3 years and be like, God did it. God did it. God did it. God did it. Like I find myself in year 3 with people asking like, how do you do this? Or, oh my gosh, how do you manage all these things? And before it'd be like, well, it's hard, but we knock it out. And now I'm just like, I don't, God does. God does it.
Yeah. And let's talk about that because, sometimes the way God does it, we've seen it happen over and over again, is he brings all these relationships into your life, different people that support different aspects, and they come at like just the right time. And sometimes they're only there for a little time and then they move on to the next thing they're doing. Can you tell me a little bit about the unexpected opportunities you had and the relationships that supported you and sustained you through this time? Because there's been a lot of them.
So it's just like the money, right? When I was saying going out and God had placed those people, he does the same thing strategically with all the aspects of what he calls you to do. It's not that he just shows up because there's a financial need, right? God knows first and foremost what he wants from this ministry more than I do.
That's right.
I really just wake up every morning and I'm like, okay, here I am, Lord, I came back. What are we going to do today?
That's really what it is. Yeah.
And so along the way, he's also done the same things with relationship and people. Early on, we did realize as a group, but for me specifically, there's so much of a need in all the communities, no matter what state you're watching this in, where you live, whatever. You can walk out your front door and there's need. I have a lot of kids, so I see a lot of kids in need. Because of my counseling degree, I seem to be around a lot of people who have need in those areas too. And so I knew right away that beyond what was happening with the podcast or what God was calling to do here or there, that we had a unique opportunity to help people in a financial way as well.
Along the way.
Unplanned. Yes, unplanned.
Yeah.
Like my heart was just...
prayerfully considered, but unplanned.
Right. Yes. My heart just was like, okay, you can't take in $14,000 and not do something. Yes, did the ministry need it? Yes, because podcast equipment is not cheap. Having a web page is not cheap.
Well, you even traveled for some of the episodes.
Yeah, I had to travel. So there are expenses, right? I mean, even though my time is not paid for, not here in the earthly sense, right? There are other things. But to look at it and not do something to give back or to help, that didn't seem right to me.
Well, it's like burying the talents that the master gave you under the tree instead of investing. Yeah.
And so we and just like that, we didn't even know how. Like, we're still trying to figure out, is there a form you fill out? But up until this point, like, God is just, the people just show up. Somebody knows somebody who knows somebody that call us. And so along that lines, we were working on benevolence and what does that look like? And then relationship started building with business owners, not all of which who were attached to pickleball. That's really important to say that.
Yeah.
But we have the opportunity with a gentleman here locally where he had invited us to help another ministry with a day of service. And so what that day of service did was give free oil changes to families in need. And he initially said, hey, why don't you come? And he didn't really know a lot about me. So he was like, if you have a book or anything you want to put out there, he was like, but really, I just want the atmosphere to be that we welcome people and we want to do this. And I just want to give as many free ones away as I can. But we have to do it with these limitations.
Structure,
and I was just like, okay. So what I thought I was doing was working with someone else. And what ended up happening where they were like, well, cool, if you can do it, then y'all figure it out and let me know what you need. And so sure enough, we worked it out. And we showed up, and my heart for it, since it was turned over to me, was to just be as welcoming as we could for the 15 minutes as we had them. Love on them, feed them, pray with them. Because most of these people were going to just walk in and think of getting oil changed and walking out. Yeah. But they would walk in and get food and smiles
hospitality.
And hospitality. And we had free things and all kind of community resources. And we just loved on people. And we didn't expect anything in return. We weren't asking for anything. We shared our podcast. We shared, here's who we are and what we're doing. Still, a year in, we're figuring it out, but we're there, right?
Well, let me tell you this. When she says figuring it out, what she means is literally calling, hey, do you have a table? Hey, I need a basket to put she wasn't even, so when we say there was all this fundraising that happened, she didn't even buy the basket for the prayer requests until a year plus
later.
in. So she's really
piecing it together. Yeah, we have been piecing it together.
How do you can't write a budget if you don't know how the ministry is. Yeah. So I remember that season, well, actually really the first year and a half sort of being like, okay, I think I'm getting an idea.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of sitting back and waiting and watching to see what direction God would take with things. And sometimes it faced a little bit of well-meaning opposition, right? Where people are like, you need to move. It's time. And you're like, I'm going to move when God says it's time. Yeah. And so I would think part of that too is about trusting your own relationship with God to help you move through that and develop and cultivate the relationships you needed to, so you could do service projects like that. Yeah. Which ones do you do? Which ones do you just help this way? Right?
And what was cool about that was our first year to do it. And, again, when we do things, I'm not ever expecting. I don't know if for all I know, we may never do it again. So I seize the moment. I pour everything into what we're doing because that's just my heart and that's who I am. And then later, if something, if there's another opportunity, great. That's. I know people are like, oh my gosh, but that's just kind of how this is developed. And so through that year, we had made that relationship. We made a relationship through pickleball, which was really a crazy relationship because that person met us through pickleball, had a meeting, just wanted to know more. They were just curious. God was doing things in their life and they weren't really sure and they wanted to know what we were doing. What does this look like? And the relationship started developing while all this is going on. And let me tell you about both of these relationships. There's been so many. We could spend the whole podcast, but these two stand out most to me because in one aspect, the gentleman with the oil change, we did it again the next year.
Yep.
We doubled how we were able to help. Yeah. We had more families. We ended up being able to give, a lot of you guys donated to our gift card drive, which we'll probably be doing again soon.
Thank you.
And yes, thank you. We were able to put in almost half of the cars an additional gift card because you got to understand that these families that I hate to use the word targeting, but we do specifically look for a certain demographic of families for this event.
It's people who really need it.
It's the people who really need it, right? And so we would surprise them with a $25 gift card because a lot of them used the gas to get there and they didn't know how they were going to get back home, but they needed that oil change. Yeah. And what was cool about it, what happened the next year, which was this past year, was we were invited to come back. We had double the cars, and then God created another relationship with a church nearby who had a food pantry.
I remember that.
And so we found out the weekend before the dates, it was about to be a food pantry drive. They had about 65 to 85 cars that showed up. They put a flyer and everyone, and then went window to window to window to make sure they knew about it. And they called us that afternoon and were like, we've got to tell you what happened. These people are crying. They're saying, you don't know, I just told somebody I didn't know how I was going to get an oil change. I'm about to go park my car because I can't drive it and I don't have the money. And my registration that day, I was at a kids sporting event on a Saturday. I knew the food drive was happening.
I remember all of this.
Yeah, I'm not really thinking anything past, like, thank goodness that people will get it. All of my stuff's attached to my phone. So if you go to our Wix page, it's attached to our phone. If you do anything Stepping Forward, I know immediately I am watching you. Okay. My phone, I thought it was going to blow up literally. It kept going. Ping, ping,
well,
ping,
and
ping,
what I'm
ping,
laughing
ping,
about is that the night before you were like, we have all these spots
and
nobody's doing it. And I really thought I would get some response. And this happens with pickleball. We have all these spots. I don't think we're going to get the teams. It's going to be a disaster. I can just tell it. And every time I'm like, sorry to be annoying, but God's going to do this.
And seriously, that Saturday, we had probably 80 of however many showed up there.
Amazing.
We had 80 on that Saturday. And then from there, the floodgate just unleashed. We had 150 people sign up. And the gentleman who owns that particular place that we do this with was like, we're going to have to shut it down. And I was like, can you just give me like another week? I think I can get 75 more. And he's like, no, like, I've got to order the stuff. We got to shut it down. And so just as we were shutting it down, like, we were still getting.
And what I love about that is that your willingness to step forward and go for it enabled another person who had a heart to want to do something, to step forward. This is the beauty of the body of Christ at work. We equip each other. We help each other to get the work done. And it develops relationships with people and community. And
I'll tell you what, and so not only does it do that, like I've think in the podcast several times, there's a lot of things I bring up a lot, The Chosen, because I love it. And I think I've used this illustration, but it's literally an illustration that in my life I think of daily. I look at things, the image God put in my head, the image God put in my head is like wheels. So,
gears,
right? Mm-hmm. And that when a gear here moves, it moves this gear and it moves that gear. And what you don't realize is even the slightest bit of movement happens in these gears, right? So if I don't show up for my gear to move, then the ripple effect cannot take place. Now, God will find somebody else.
He'll put another gear in.
He'll slip another gear in. But I bring that up because what happened this past year was God setting the gears. So we do it again this past year. The oil changes. We have a tremendous response.
Yeah.
People were leaving and calling back, and there was a gift card like in my car. Yeah, that's yours. Like, thanks for coming. Are you sure we can have food? It's for you. Like, this whole day is about you. I mean, it's amazing to see people's response. They're blown away. They're just not expecting. Yeah, they think, because like one lady said, what is it? They're going to call me and they're going to tell me something's wrong with my car and that's how they're going to get me. No, ma'am, they're not even looking at your car. They're just changing your oil. We'll have you out of here in 15 minutes. Now, what do you want to eat, drink, pray, color? You want us to play with your kids? What do you need from us? Mm-hmm. So what happened is, that event wraps up and I get a phone call from another organization and they say, hey, we're doing Thanksgiving meals. We really want to pull in a bunch of nonprofits and do this together. Like, do you think your nonprofit would be interested in just having a portion? And I was like, yeah, well, what would you like us to do? Well, we don't know. Here's all the options. And so sure enough, they tell us they don't know how to, they've never done it in this spot. And there's a parking kind of whatever. Can you help us work that out? I got a guy. Yes. So I think in my small mind that really Stepping Forward is going to go out. We plot the thing out. We give it to them. They're happy with it. But we're, of course, going to volunteer. So we set up a volunteer basis and have a bunch of volunteers who come out. And then they're like, I say, okay, there's one thing I want from you, though. Can you do one thing? And they're like, what is it? And I said, if we help, will you share the link with us? Because this particular group has like there are already links in place or who they share. Will you share it with us and let us share it too? Mm-hmm. That's my one stipulation. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, fine. So what God had done is we had just come off oil change. And I had 175 emails of families that I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt
Needed a Thanksgiving meal.
needed a Thanksgiving meal. And so when the link opened on a Friday, I got permission on a Friday morning. I got the link. I think I may have got it first. They're like, it's going live. Here's the link. I went to my laptop, opened it up, pulled up all 175, plugged it in, and within 4 hours, they had 150 people coming to get a Thanksgiving meal.
That's amazing.
And we worked that drive that year. Ended up that some other people didn't show up. We were the only nonprofit there. There were other businesses, other companies, and some really great people. But we had cars. We started at 4, I think, maybe 3:30. We had cars who showed up at 1 o'clock from our previous oil change event.
Yeah.
And they sat there and waited. And I got to talk to each. I recognized each of them. I had just been with them. I talked to them. They were just so grateful and so thankful. And gosh, thank you for thinking about us. And we were there till 9 o'clock at night, and we still had food left.
So one of the things that makes my heart really happy about this is, as you're talking about all these things, I'm thinking of the pictures that popped up on your Facebook feed. And in this particular event, because a lot of the stuff had to happen last minute because plans changed. And so you had to kind of come in and just really help make it because plans changed.
Yeah.
And so it was a little stressful, frustrating, trying to figure out, okay, how do I do all this? I wasn't thinking I was doing this. Yeah, I wasn't thinking I was going to do this, right? Yeah. And I see the picture come across my feed, and you're like beaming.
Yeah, it was a great day.
I mean, your whole face was just glowing. You were so happy. You were smiling with your body, even your posture. And it's just so cool. It was unexpected blessing just to be able to really start putting feet on the pavement and doing some stuff for the Lord.
Yeah, because at that point we were podcasting. Again, there is more vision. There is more things I know God has to come, but we were podcasting, and that was pretty much it. And we were helping families pretty much under the sly, which I guess it's not under the sly now, but it was under the sly, and God was bringing them, and we were doing things. But you don't go out and talk about all that. You don't be like, hey, let us tell you what we've been doing. That it's just a part of who we are, and God tells us. And I typically know when to move and when not to move, just because He guides that. But last year, those two things were so powerful. And I was able to bring my kids out to both and show them what service looked like and loving on people. Yeah. And, there was a long line, so we get to talk to people, and sometimes people share and sometimes they don't, we had a prayer line. They had a prayer team there. And so it's one thing to talk about the hands and the feet. And I know I had somebody ask me in Kerrville recently when I was there, where's the scripture that says hands and feet? And I was like, it's the whole Bible. There are some scriptures that really pronounce it a little more, but it's one thing to talk about the hands and the feet and be the hands and feet and love like Jesus and be like Jesus. It's another thing to stand there and to be the hands and the feet and to know that there is nothing you're going to gain, nothing, but so much to give. And that little thing, right? Like, it might not be my life or your life or maybe some of our listeners, but that one little thing possibly did exactly what our mission statement was. We equipped and we empowered people to step forward, because there's really three main parts of our ministry, and it looks like this. We have our evangelistic, which is the podcast and some of the other things we're working on that we're going to talk about in a minute, which is super exciting. We have our social media presence, which really has just been building a name and just encouraging and all of our, I like funny things. And so most of the time, if you're watching our social media, whatever I'm going through in life, you're going to see something really funny about it.
Yeah, it's a little window into what's going on.
It's very specific. It's not random.
I actually know when to call you sometimes. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I know something's going on here.
And so you have that aspect, and then we have this benevolence, this part, right? And all of it's great. It's great. But it's three unique areas that God has said, do this. Here, talk about me. Here, encourage people to point back to me. And here, just go love on people. And that's our mission statement, like I said, is to empower and equip. And that's what we do. And it's like this. People go, okay, empower and equip people to step forward in their relationship. I mean, you having an oil change and a food drive, like, really, and you're not really over there pressuring them about Jesus. Let me tell you like this. If a kid shows up to school and they couldn't eat breakfast, do you think they're successful in their day? No. If a kid shows up to school and they don't have shoes that if they have shoes that don't have soles in them, do you think that sets them up? No. And so these things in these people's lives and these small moments, a $25 gift card or a free meal, some of them took extra food home for the night. You know, they had their kid, they brought their whole family.
Well, and it's exposure to unconditional love,
Yes.
which is that is a
Yes.
Jesus thing.
We
That
may-
is a Jesus thing.
In that moment, in both of those settings, I saw it in several people. In that moment, us just being available, us being willing to share, us having there's no attachments. We're not going to take your email and harass you. We're not going to force you to come to church on Sunday. We're not going to make you give to our ministry or volunteer. Like this is not
Quid pro quo scenario.
No.
Yeah.
In that one moment, they had hope that there's possibly somebody out there who sees me and who loves me. And I may not understand it right now, but my needs are met. And sometimes that's all somebody needs. That's it.
Yeah.
And that alone is enough to change somebody's life.
That's really true. That's really true. Is there any story specifically that kind of sticks out to you?
Gosh, we've met so many people. There's a few. I have a lady that I met along the way. We ended up meeting in a Kroger parking lot. She didn't even know how she got my phone number. She said an email from me showed up. She had never heard of me. She had never heard of our ministry, but she said it showed up and something told her to call me. So she calls me and she cries on the phone for an hour and she just shares what's going on. Well, this was the time when the Thanksgiving stuff was going on, so Christmas was coming. And I told her that we had an extra turkey and an extra meal kit, and she'd like to have it. And we had some just gift cards that weren't for that drive. So some other things people had donated to us. And she had kids and there were some certain specific things she needed. And so I just asked her if she'd meet me at the Kroger. And as usual, I would just load up my car and go meet a random person at the Kroger.
And she calls me on the way, so I can remember every single moment. I'm just going to meet this lady. I think I can squeeze it in between this thing and this thing and this thing. Yeah.
And so we stand there and the lady...
Because you're still momming a whole bunch of boys. And
Yeah. And so I meet her up there and I give her the things and we talk and she's crying and she's really just needing somebody to listen. And she's still like, I don't know how you're standing here and how I even got here to you. And so... that lady and I kept up with her. We ended up adopting her child for Christmas. We took care of their Christmas needs. We took care of their Thanksgiving needs. Ended up sending her a book I was reading at the time and a journal. And I offered that I would go through the book with her if she wanted. If not, I just encouraged her that when God put it on her heart to start reading the book a little bit at a time. Because we had now at this point talked several times and she had, especially when you adopt somebody's kid for Christmas, you see them a little more frequently.
Yeah.
And so through that season, she was just really felt like God had abandoned her. And you hear that a lot.
Yeah. I've heard it.
A lot of people feel like God has abandoned them or that he's turned his back on them. And there's all kind of reasons why. But in this case, I just encouraged her. She asked me questions about school and her kids. There's just my background. I was able to give her some information, and so that January, she ends up volunteering for one of our events. She's just determined she's going to volunteer. She shows up. She does an amazing job. And in that January after Christmas, I get a call, and she says, "You know what? I just thought about all the things you've been telling me, and how life can change, but I got to step into it, and I got to trust God." And she's like, "I signed up for college, and I got in."
That's amazing.
She's in her late 50s, and she started. She's like, "I'm changing my life. Some of these patterns, some of these people, some of these things. I've heard what you said, and I've spoken with her not as frequently, but a little bit, and she's doing great in school. And her daughter also went to college.
That's amazing.
And again, it's those gears, right? You just don't know. You don't know what that one
Ripple
little
effect,
thing happens and the impact. So here's a woman in her 50s who's going to college with a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And now her 20-year-old's going, and now her son is watching that and seeing the faithfulness of God play out. And that's what changes lives. It's not me. It's not Stepping Forward Ministries. It is letting God lead. And riding that coattail. And when he says stop and go, stop and do, stop, period. Even if it doesn't make sense to me or I think it's silly or I can't do it, he already knows. He already knows he's provided. He already knows it's set up. He's just waiting on me to be obedient. And I think Stepping Forward Ministries for me has been a huge lesson on obedience in the last 3 years.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing about that is when you first started, and it still is at the heart of it, is very community driven. But there was this shift that started happening a little while ago where all of a sudden God started calling you out, like out.
Yeah, like
out of the community, where all of a sudden there was this, you were in the middle of kind of studying about Paul's missionary journeys and trying to figure out, I remember you saying, I don't know why God is asking me to look at this. I'm like, well, it's not going to come back void. So just keep doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you got these global opportunities. So can you talk about some of the global travel that's happened?
So welcome to 2026. Let me tell you that this year has been
2025.
Well, yeah, but 2026 is when it kicked off.
Okay,
yeah,
there we go.
We'll back up to 2025, but 2025.
25,
Sorry,
yeah.
yes, she is correct.
She's already thinking ahead, guys. That's good.
I know what's coming in 2026.
The changes are in 2026. Yes.
So 2025, this year, so January to sitting here today, has been nothing short than the most craziest ride of my life.
Yeah.
Like if we're going to go up from here, I'm not even sure what that looks like. Matter of fact, I need lots of sleep and lots of prayer. Okay? So last year, Leah's right. Last year, a little before, probably between the Thanksgiving and the Christmas things that we're talking about, I was determined last year to read the New Testament altogether. So I jumped on the Bible recap. I said, starting in September, I'm reading the whole New Testament cover to cover without stopping. And as I got into getting ready to wrap that up towards Christmas, God really started pushing in on some things. And they were around Paul. And God kept telling me to look at his journey, look at his map. Well, I did the very Christian thing and didn't do it. And here I am in ministry. I know all of you just turned it all off, right? I'm really hard-headed sometimes. It takes a few times.
And ministry's taxing. Let's be honest. So I think there's an aspect of that here that's important too. Yeah. When you're pouring out all that amazing stuff, you do need to be restored and refilled. And so I think this is actually part of that.
Yeah. And so it just keeps on. And like we're on day 4 of my quiet time and getting closer to the Bible recap, wrapping up. I'm so excited that I've done this. God's just like opening up scripture like I've never, especially Revelation. Like I'm seeing Revelation and understanding in a way I've never, ever been able to understand. And I'm super excited about it. I'm just super pumped. But this daggone thing about Paul just keeps on and keeps on. So like day 3, I do it again. I'm not looking at a map. Like this doesn't even make sense. I'm telling Leah, this makes no sense. I don't know it. So day 4 of Bible recap, here it comes again. The quiet time's happening, the map. And I'm like, stupid map. And then at the end of the podcast, she says, in today's resources, we have a map of Paul's journey. I was like, yes, I am a dumb sheep. Yes, I am a dumb sheep.
We're just dumb sheep.
We're just dumb sheep. And so sure enough, I pull up the map, and in the moment, let me explain to you something about this map. In the moment, I don't really know what I'm looking at. Yeah. Clearly, it's a map. But what I do realize is that on this map, like if this was the map, what I see is all the 7 churches, and I'm geographically placing them. And because Revelation just made
7
sense
churches,
to me, I'm seeing this map, and I'm just thinking I'm having a moment where it's like,
clicking.
Like this, I am a visual learner. So it's like God was saying, oh, hey, why don't you use your visual learning style and see this? So the backstory to this, what makes this important, is that when Stepping Forward Ministries first started, I knew God was asking me to write something. And I pretty much knew what it was, but I didn't know. There was so much figuring out, like Leah said. There was so much new and so much change and so much of everything was overwhelming. So imagine being completely overstimulated for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and being one person. So you're doing all the things. So like when you email, I answer. When you social media, it's me. When there are events, oh, guess what? Me. When the bills have to be paid, me. Yeah. It's all me. I do all. I have lots of great people like Leah and volunteers, but the bulk of it, this is a business. It's still a business, and it's ran by me. And I have great board members, but at the end of the day, they have jobs, they have lives. It's still ran by me. And so that had really, with the podcast, it was there, but it had kind of got in the background. And then in 2024, I'd committed that year to saying I was going to start writing. And I got really frustrated because I couldn't get it off the ground. There was so many distractions. I was pulling all the stuff. I was researching. And what really happened was that I got frustrated and hit a wall because I kind of forgot to talk to God about how he, like he said, Miranda, I want to do this. And my personality is to be like,
okay, I'm going.
Got it. I'll catch up with you later. And so I couldn't figure out, but at the same time, we had started last summer. God was shifting our podcast to having these more teaching series rather than just this over here, the interviews. And so,
and then seminary stuff.
And then, so, and all around this time, there's this, for a while, people have been telling me about encouraging me to go to some seminary classes. And because I'm so great, I was like, I don't need to do that because I know all the Bible and I know God, like we're BFF. And so all around this same time, there was a major shift at the end of last year. And so, yes, I had signed up with at Baylor with Truett Seminary to start. And there was so much blessing in that at the end of last year that was happening. And then God brings this map. I'm feeling convicted because it's the end of the year and I didn't write it all. Matter of fact, I couldn't even get it off the ground and I was frustrated, but the podcast was doing things. So, there's a lot of ebb and flow here. And then sure enough, we go to church a few Sundays later, I'm not even kidding. And our pastor gets up and he's like, guys, here's the deal. We got this amazing opportunity to go to Greece and follow Paul's journey. And he flips the map up and it's the map. It's the map. And y'all, my face must have looked like, I don't know, because my husband looks at me and he says, what is wrong with you? And I take my phone out and I open it up and I show him the map. And he's like, why do you have that map on your phone? And I was like, I'll talk to you when we get home. And I don't know what happened after that in church because all I could sit there was, and then they tell I go to the webpage, I see how much it is. I see they want the money the next day.
You're like, no way.
It's Christmas.
Way. Yeah.
By December, our funds, we're just like, and seriously, Lord. And I find myself in the church where the pastor came from who says, put your yes on the table. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, Lord, here's the deal. This is how I talk to God. Y'all are about to really see it. Here's the deal, Lord. It's never been on a bucket list, like to go to Greece and follow Paul's journey. Matter of fact, I just finished Revelation and I just really understand. But this map's really got me kind of messed up and you've had this in my mind. But I mean, I guess if you want me to go to Greece, I'll put my yes on the table, but you better pay for it.
Yeah.
Because that's the reality. That's just the reality. We're a normal, regular family with bills and kids and a nonprofit
and you call me and you're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, you better get ready because you know you're going.
Yeah, so I call Leah. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. I come home for lunch and my husband's like demanding answers. What is going on? And all I can tell him
why were you so shook by this?
All I can tell him is just the basic information that I have and that it's not making sense to me either. But I just don't know. And then from there, this TMI for all of my people. The only place I have silence in my life is in the bathroom and in the shower. And so I go to take a shower because I'm completely overwhelmed and I am wrecked. God wrecks me in the shower. I'm talking God download. He puts out a vision in front of my face, tells me exactly what I'm supposed to do, exactly what it looks like. I can't even think straight. I'm so overwhelmed in the shower because what he is showing me is not something I can accomplish. I don't know how I'm going to accomplish it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's way out of my wheelhouse. It's way out of my comfort zone. There's just no way this can physically happen. And the timeline that was given makes it even more difficult because it's got to be paid for really quick because our church was scooting in with another church. And so I'm in the shower like, Lord, how am I supposed to do this? And he immediately gives me this list of people. And he tells me to make this video. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
I remember. Yep.
This is not my style, Lord. I'm not doing it. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. And so I tell Jeremy, I share all this with him. And I'm like, I really think I'm supposed to do this. And my husband, he's great about it. He's like, go. We'll finance everything. Just go. And I'm like, no, I you know me, like I need God to tell me 18 times that I'm supposed to go. Like I need like the whole backyard to blow up or something. Like that's how I roll. And so sure enough, we go through all the steps. I do what God tells me to do. Within a week later, I get a phone call from somebody. Actually, not a phone call. Actually, they came to me personally. And they're like, I have half the money.
I remember that too.
Will that get you on the trip? And can you get the rest? I was like, I don't know if I can get the rest, but I'll try. I'm sure going to try because now confirmation has happened.
Yeah.
Like confirmation has happened. And God is still steadily, like there's other things happening too, right? So sure enough, we pay half. And then the next Sunday, I'm at church, and a gentleman approaches me that I know well. I've worked with him. I've invited him to do things with us. It's just never worked out. He walks up to me. He says, "Hey, I'm on the board at such and such. I heard what you did with the Thanksgiving meals. That's amazing. I want to support what you're doing." Hands me a check. I get in the car. I don't even open it. I get in the car. I'm like, what is this? Nobody just walks up and hands me a check. I walk in my house. I open it. It's $1,000. Boom. Now we have $4,000.
Yeah.
Within a matter of days after that, we have all the money. It's all paid for. It's completely paid for. And we're going to Greece.
What I love about this is that I can remember every single phone call. We were like, this person just handed me a check.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
It's crazy.
When we really sit down and just, it's good for us to remember what God has done. It's really good to recap that.
So here I am thinking that my year, like I'm thinking, y'all remember, I have all these kids. I have a husband that works. Like, how am I going to pull off going to Greece in the middle of a school year? But here's the money. God's telling me to do it. The things he was telling me, we're going back to the Bible study. He directed me back to a journal that I had wrote in January of last year that said, Miranda, go find Paul's journey.
I remember the phone call where we were talking when you wrote that down.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I did what every great person does. I just said, okay, Lord, thanks. I got it. I don't need it. I don't need your direction. I got it.
I'm busy with some other stuff.
Yeah, I think I know better than you, Lord. I think I know how to do this in a scholarly manner because I am scholarly. And God's like, yeah, that really stinks.
Paul was scholarly
too.
Go
sit in the corner. Go sit in the corner and let me deal with you. And he did. He let me go a whole year of nothing. It was silence, complete silence. And then he says, now. Like now, it's time now. So I do that. But I don't know is that a week later, I'm going to get a call from my sister and I'm going to Thailand in like 3 weeks. And that's a whole nother story, right? So with my 2025 started off in Thailand for almost 2 weeks. I come home, I'm preparing. Well, let me back up. As if all that wasn't enough, we get the opportunity with Baylor to podcast. I just took a step of faith and asked them if they would like to join to podcast with us. And again, I don't know if they're crazy or I am, but they said yes. And so
they were ready.
They say yes. The season I thought God had planned, he definitely had it planned, but he had a different vision. And we just went with it because we want to do things the way God wants to do it, not the way Miranda wants to do it. And so, so we find out right there that we're going to podcast with them. It's going to happen really quickly. We also find out that we've raised enough money to move to all of this. Right? So we are no longer just audio. We're going to put our big faces in the camera for everybody to see. And then Baylor turns around and does an amazing thing for us with my school and completely floored. Like I ended 2024 in complete awe of God. There was no denying. I think there was a phone call I had with you when you said, there's no way, Miranda, that you can deny the hand of God, that you made the right decision here, that you heard the voice of God there. Like, how can you look back and question any of this?
Just proofs. No. So many proofs.
And he does that.
That's what he does.
He does that. When we're obedient, when we take the step of faith, we have to take the first step.
Yeah.
But he's there. He's just waiting.
Yeah.
And so this year, I was in Thailand, which was a crazy experience. I came back from Thailand. We had to podcast with Baylor. So I was in Baylor for a week. What an amazing, I am so excited. That in like 2 or 3 weeks, September the 8th, you guys are going to get to see that. God is all over that. I don't even know. My brain can't even. I just can't even. And it just may be that good to me. I don't know.
Well, that's worth something. But that fuels you. Yeah.
I had no business being there. I had no business being with these people. I had no business talking with the things we were talking about. Like, there's no way I could have facilitated that. It was absolutely amazing. And Baylor's just been a blessing to me. My time in the school with them, this December, I will have my first certificate in ministry.
Yay!
I fell in love with the Old Testament this year in a way that I didn't even know you could fall in love with the Old Testament.
It is possible.
It is possible, and it's absolutely amazing. It was life-changing. And so then Greece happened, and had an amazing time in Greece. Along with the podcast, we have a producer / editor that's come on board with us, and he has been a godsend. I
Yes.
mean, he is amazing.
Yes.
There's not enough I could do for him to repay for what he has done for us.
amazing. Yeah.
And he just sees something in me and in this ministry, and God just put him right where he is with us. And there's not enough time for me to even go into that. And then, like I said, we came back from Greece. There was this short amount of time as a family. I feel like I've been gone from my family a lot this year, which has been difficult.
Yeah, it's been hard. Yeah.
I came back. We had a child that had a birthday, so we took what was supposed to be like a couple of days just to be away at the river or the lake to celebrate his birthday and to be together as a family. And then it was going to be right out the summer because I know what the year's coming and I have a lot of work to do ahead of me. And so it was like, okay, we're just going to enjoy summer. Well, while we are there, we find out about Kerrville and the flooding and Camp Mystic. And while I'm there, y'all, seriously, while I'm there sitting on a deck watching my kids in water,
play on
a lake, a body of water, my mother's heart is just crumbling.
Yeah.
That I'm sitting here laughing and frolicking, and my kids are on a rope swing and they are giggling, and there are parents who just lost their kids. There are people in other states who just lost their family members. I mean, if you guys didn't see it, there were houses floating down the river.
Yeah, literally floating. Yeah.
And in that moment,
If they stayed together, a lot of them just got
most of them got broken,
destroyed.
but the news caught the floating or the
with people in the house.
Yes,
I remember
beating on it, screaming for help
Yeah.
in the pitch black dark. And so in the moment, I just was overwhelmed with so much hurt for them as a mom and just as a person, a human, right? Watching this and watching people scream to their death, it's just so casually being recorded on a phone, right?
Yeah.
Thinking about me sending my kids to church camp and never questioning would they come back.
Yeah.
So you've got to think all of these things.
I think
as a
lot
mother.
of I think a lot of our watchers, listeners understand that because I think it did that for a lot of people.
Yeah, and so in that moment, though, I'm feeling a stirring. Like I have a nonprofit, I have a ministry. There has to be something like, God, I know, God, what do you want me to do? But it's in God's fashion. He doesn't always just plop it out.
We see in part.
He doesn't just. There's a feeling, there's a notion, there's a nudge. And so I came home, and I just for days I just sat in the chair, and I'd just be like, Lord, I feel something, but is it my mother's heart? Is it my emotions? Or are you asking me to do something? And this is all happening very quickly. So like come home, a couple of days, and lo and behold, the crazy thing about God again setting up is that we mutually have some friends who God just called to move to Kerrville before all this. And that's a crazy story as well. And
They were there house hunting.
They were there.
Yeah.
They just were on higher ground.
Yeah.
And so I was getting all the knowledge and information from them, and I was checking on them. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Can we help? Because they were stuck. They couldn't come back.
No, I remember
the
that.
road, the bridge, it was gone. And no, we're okay. We're actually ministering and loving on people here, and people are loving on us. And this is actually amazing because here they are about to move there, and they're getting a firsthand knowledge on the culture of these people in Kerrville and community. So because of that, I am just on the Stepping Forward Ministry page on Facebook, and I see on that feed something pop up with a girl just pretty much doing what she knows and like asking for help. And so I just reach out and I'm like, I have a nonprofit. What can I do? And no joke, 12 hours later, I'm in my car driving to Kerrville with no clue.
On the phone with me again. It's the only time she has time to talk to me because her life's so crazy.
Yeah.
So it's when she's driving places.
Yeah. So 3.5 hour drive. I land in not in Kerrville, but just outside of Kerrville in Bernie. And I spend a Friday, Saturday, Sunday around the clock.
We obviously don't have time in this episode to get into all of that, but the provision, we're talking truckloads of provision that God, she just went, but she was like, I don't have any supplies. And then they thought they might get some, but they couldn't show up. And then eventually her husband is coming with the kids.
An 18-wheeler with my kids.
with a whole bunch of stuff
Yeah.
because some churches got together and donated a whole bunch of stuff.
And there was Connection, another nonprofit there, opened up their doors and let us come in and set up home base.
So much God.
We went from
so
one
much God
end,
there.
from Kerrville to another end. God had a ministry that reached out to us with support dogs, therapy dogs. I called people here who linked me up with therapists that I had come up there and partner with me that we could take out into the community. We started getting truckloads. We don't even know where they came from.
Yeah.
And then we were getting calls over there. Can you go here? Can you go there? We met nonprofits there who were doing search and rescue, who needed help, who needed specific things.
Supplies.
Specific things. Because you guys, when things like this happen, we do tend to think about the people it happened to, because clearly that's what you see. You see the families, you see the children, you see all the devastation. What you don't see behind the work are the first responders.
All the people.
The hundreds of people who come from other states who are sleeping in their car and cooking with their own cookers and food just to feed people, whether it's people who are working or people who are who don't have a meal, right? You see search and rescue teams show up who don't get paid a dime, who work around the clock and bring horses and mules and dogs. And in this particular situation, and I think I'm learning this, in all situations, they get overlooked because the immediate need is the people. Well, they need help too. So we literally found them under a bridge. That's where they were search and rescuing. One of them. We had other people we were helping too. But they just started telling us, we need this, we need that. And my phone, I don't know how people got my phone number, but I'm getting calls from outside of Texas, South Carolina. What can we do? What can we do? My neighbor's here. How can we help? And so we were able to get a lot of things that are actually more expensive type search and recovery things that they couldn't get their hands on. Because you got to remember, guys, everything's gone.
Yeah,
you're just not going up to Walmart.
No.
Because all the Walmarts for miles are just bought out. So, and nobody's helping these nonprofits. So we spent 3 or 4 days in Kerrville. I didn't know where I was going to stay. I stayed with a stranger in a house that was donated to her, and because I was helping with this and that, provision. One night,
when the
flooding,
waters rose again.
While I was there, I was in an area of a flood zone. About 10 o'clock at night, I had to pack up my stuff and go find a hotel room. I had tried to get a hotel room closer to where I was in Bernie the night before. There were none. I called for miles, couldn't get a hotel room. When I found out about the floodwaters, I started getting warnings from people in relationship there talking about, you need to get out, you're going to get stuck.
And when the first responders tell you that, you're
I
like,
had first responders tell me, get out, don't stay there tonight. And sure enough, I just pull up a link on my phone. I call this place and I said, do you have a room? She's like, I have one. How fast can you get here? And I was like, faster than you can count to 3. I will be there. I threw all my stuff in and drove to higher ground, got in that room, barely slept a wink because I kept thinking I was going to float away every night. But got back at it the next day and just met wonderful people, saw God move in amazing ways, saw people come together, learned a lot about how these things work. And in my mind, it's like we made just a small little impact, we just this small little thing. But in reality, I think that's where it starts, Leah. It starts with small little things.
Well, and what I'm thinking about too is just how your worldview has changed.
So much.
You're a welcoming person. You're an inviting person, but even your concept of community went all the way to Thailand this year. You know, I mean, and I think when Jesus giving his final instructions said, you're going to go to the nations and do this. Yeah. I remember just a flashback when we were looking at podcast data and you started realizing that people in other countries in the world were
12 countries
listening to the podcast. And you were like, what?
Yeah. Why?
So what is this? Right?
What's happening?
So I think it's a testament to your willingness to not get such a big head that you think, oh, I'm going to be global. I'm going to be a huge, but when God's like, you have no idea what I can do with your one act of willingness.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And 1,000,000. And when you're faithful with a little, you can be faithful with a lot.
I can't even tell you. I really literally can't tell you, but what even is spawning out of that. Yeah. There are things happening right now that I don't even know what the end result's going to be, but God is doing something through that. My heart was a different heart. Like you said, things have changed. In 3 years, I have changed a lot. Yeah. God wasn't just using me to go out and change people. He was changing me first. And then it all pours out to whatever we do. And so there are things developing that may or may not come to pass. And I see the potential there for us to have a much greater impact with our benevolence in a different way, in a bigger way than just in our community. And that's super exciting. Yeah. But at the same time, it's one day at a time. Like today, this is what God's given us. Today, this is what we're pouring into. Today, we're going to make an 1.5 hour podcast. That's how this is going to work.
Yeah, I know. I kept glancing down at the clock. I'm like, it's when two best friends sit down. Yeah.
Well, 3 years, there's a lot. There's a lot of big things. And if you leave any of them out, I mean, it almost feels like it's an injustice.
Yeah.
To leave one out. And we have left so much out.
That's what I was just thinking.
So much.
I'm thinking of what is it in John when he's like, if I wrote down every single thing that Jesus did, there would not be enough books in the world. Yeah. And I think we can, even in just the small microcosm of this last 3 years, the stories as she's talking, I'm thinking, oh, we didn't tell that story. Oh, we didn't tell the one about the woman at Walmart. Oh, we didn't tell the one about the guy at the restaurant. There's so much happening all the time that it's really amazing. And I think it's encouraging as someone who's active only in the ministry in like a support role to watch you go through it. I still am witnessing so much happening.
Yeah.
And it changes me too. And I hope the people watching the podcast, it changes you too. And you realize that if you can be faithful with just like this much, God will just blow it up into these immense blessings. He just pours it out.
And it's not always about money. Y'all need to understand, like me going to Kerrville and all that, it's not always about money. They didn't need, most of the time people don't need my money. God does not need my money.
No. Yeah.
You know what God needs? He needs an open heart. Yeah. He needs an obedient heart. He needs somebody who's willing to take a step. And that's what happened with Stepping Forward. Stepping Forward became Stepping Forward because God asked me to take a step. Yep. And he didn't ask me to go backwards. He asked me to keep my eyes up and go forward. And that is Stepping Forward Ministries. It is a literal nonprofit that's of action. Because it's happening every day in what we do. God is asking me and putting me in places and positions of things that are really uncomfortable for me. Sometimes things that don't go all the way, doesn't always go the way I think it's going to go. And God goes, plot twist. And we do it a different way. And
even this episode is a plot twist. Yes. You had 2 other episodes lined up
in
for
our
this.
season, like our Driven to Distraction. It was supposed to be completely different, you and I. And God used that even in we had tension even with us.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, so God... It's there and there's a plan, but God orchestrates it the way.
Yeah.
And in every orchestration, there's something to be learned.
Yeah.
There is something to grow. There's another way to see God's faithfulness. There's another way to see God's blessing. There's another way to see God's mercy. There's another chance for your heart to be fine-tuned.
Amen to that. The thought that's just coming to mind as you're saying that is when I realize what I'm not, I realize who God is. Yes. So it's in those areas of weakness. I'm not a fundraiser. I'm not a nonprofit. I'm a teacher. Yeah. I'm a writer. Oh no, not right now. I'm not a writer. I'm a servant. Oh, I'm not a benevolence person. Oh yeah, you are. You start to see what God's heart can do to your heart.
And I think I've been really fortunate. I know since I've started this, and even before in my own personal life, I've heard a lot of people be like, I don't hear God. I don't hear God. And just, God's talking to all of us.
All the time.
Do we make the space to hear him? And so I remember telling you just here recently that, Leah, I look at Thailand and I look at Greece, and whereas I kind of knew the plan with Greece, like I don't really know the plan with Greece, but I look at Thailand and I look at Greece, and then Kerrville, where did Kerrville come from? And then it hit me, like God just was so gracious to reveal that what God was doing in my life this year was not about sending me around the world to see cool places or to be able to be more relatable to the Bible or him. God was giving me a story because my next adventure for the next year is to dedicate my time to continue to podcast, but that we're going to write a Bible study. And I know exactly what God wants me to write. I know exactly who he wants me to talk about. And now he's given me stories. He took me on adventures to be able to write about him and his journey. And it's mind blowing. I'm absolutely, I know when I called you, I was like, Leah, I think he's writing the Bible study through this. And I told you, like Thailand.
Well, it's your God stories.
Yeah. Like Thailand, like here's what happened. And then like Greece, and here's what happened. And here's Kerrville, and here's things in my marriage, and here's things in my friendships, and here's things with my children. Like, I think God's writing the chapters, and he does. When you show up and you're obedient, God writes the chapters. One thing Leah's always told me is she's like, don't write your own story, Miranda. Put the pen down, Miranda. But you can. You can have confidence in God to put the pen down and let God write your story.
So as you think about the growth and like the future of Stepping Forward, you already talked about the writing. You've talked about more benevolence. What are the future needs you think you're going to have moving forward in that vision? So
like I said, God a lot of times gives vision, and God definitely has given vision and a glimpse of things. And what I've learned about that is that you can't be hard pressed into that. You see this vision, and I think it's to like give you something to work towards and to
inspiration
to see God move. Because in your mind, you look at the vision and you go, "There's no way.
No, it's very
that's
overwhelming.
Not even possible, Lord." Like I know you've done a lot of things, but that one's really big. And so for the last couple of years, and even this year, my heart still really is. I still believe this is coming in some way. I don't know how, because it will be mind blowing to see it happen. But what we started in our home, we have outgrown our home.
Yeah.
We need a space. We need a space to podcast in. We need a space to
contain the library, not just books on the
library
floor.
that has grown instead of the books being all over the house with children who like to play with them. We're growing.
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
No, it's good.
It's not a
problem.
It's
good.
The problem comes in when you live in Houston, Texas, and you grow, and everything costs like golden nuggets, right? And
the people in California are like, really?
Yes, that's true. and our budget's just small. We because we're in the home, and because God's brought amazing people who've worked within our budget. I mean, we are good. Like with Kerrville, we had $6,000 come in to spend in Kerrville.
That's amazing.
And we left every dime of it in Kerrville.
Yeah, you did.
Every dime. And so I know God can do it, right? But he doesn't exactly send the detailed list of how it's going to work and when. So we're growing in that area. Like I said, we do have, again, our oil change event and most likely our Thanksgiving event. We love to love on people. So we do need donations. Yes, it takes money to do things. There are a lot of gracious businesses out there, but there's not enough. And a lot of them have policies against Christian giving, so they can't donate to Christian organizations, and that's fine. You know, that's just how the world works. It has not stopped God yet. So you know, whether it's donating to our gift card drive or donating to us in general, I just see God taking us to bigger places, and so a space is big. We've been looking for a grant writer. So if you're a grant writer, email me. We've been looking for a grant writer so we can do more benevolence type work here.
Although you got a grant without
I did. We did get a grant this year, and
that was another miracle.
You want to talk about a miracle? I almost fell out right there. We did get a grant, and it was amazing. I found out right before I stepped on a plane to Greece, and I'm lucky that I didn't pass out and die before I went to Greece. And so we're growing, and that's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about it is it gives God yet another opportunity to shine. Yeah. So we need a space.
Space, grant writer, some sort of social media assistance too, right?
We've been looking, we're looking at interns. We've had some great interns, but interns come and go because as school comes and goes, they're only able to do what they can. So we really are looking for help in social media area and our webpage. Growth. We're growing, and a space would be great. And people go, when they hear that, they're always like, well, how much would it cost? We're looking at $33,000 a year in rent. Okay, so that's
why it's a miracle.
That's why it's a miracle. $33,000 a year in rent. That's not anything else. That's not keeping the power on. That's not having water running.
Or furniture for it.
That's no furniture. And so last year I kind of got bummed about it because I thought we had an opportunity and we were going to get something. We had found a space that was perfect. Like I just felt like it was in my bones. It was right. It didn't work out. And then God just reminded me, hey, we do things in my time.
That's right.
And so I believe that's going to happen. We are going to be putting out next year sometime a Bible study. So, just lots of prayer.
Yeah.
Lots of prayer for that. There's something else we're working on too, putting out before that's going to go with that Bible study. It's part of the vision that God gave me for that. And so honestly, yeah, money's always big. It's always big. Nonprofits, especially small nonprofits, they need money to operate. But I'll tell you, for me specifically, the biggest thing is with growth comes an opportunity for the devil to work on you and to twist things in your life and to tell you this is never going to happen. This is all just luck. At any time it's all, y'all, and you should know, all of us know how it works.
And it's been physical challenges too. I a lot of the stories you're telling about what God did and called you to, I also know all of the ways that Satan tried to stop it.
Oh yeah. And there's been
some
of
major
them
physical ways too.
Yeah.
That prayer for covering is big.
So prayer is really huge. Just when you think about, in your quiet time or your time down, who can I pray for? Let's pray for us. We need it.
After you watch the podcast.
Yeah.
Pray.
And
it's
then
a built-in time.
Yeah. So then you can just write it in your daily devotional to pray for us. Just prayer, because, I want to always know or always feel like I'm making the right choices. I want to know that God's hands in what we're doing. I want to know that the people we're associating with are the right people. I want to know that when we get called out to do something, that God's leading us there. I want to know that we're being obedient. I'm going to know that whatever our small seed looks like, that we were in the right place at the right time, and then God will send the rest. I don't have to worry about that. That's a big thing I've learned this year, is that sometimes I'm just the planter. Sometimes I'm the waterer. Sometimes I'm just the encourager who talks to the flower and says, you can do this, And then there's sometimes those are people in my life too. So go follow us on social media. Share our podcast. Share. It doesn't take anything. It doesn't cost you a dime to hit the share button. It doesn't cost you a dime to follow or subscribe. You can subscribe to our newsletter. So it means just basic. It doesn't always have to be about money. It's not. It's helpful. It's helpful. If you have $33,000 lying around, that's
or an
great.
empty office space that's not getting rented out.
Or an empty office space, that'd be great. But God's going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know when. It may be this year. It may be next year. I don't know. He's going to do it. I just want this ministry to be what God wants it to be. And so the prayer is most important, because that prayer keeps me in line. It keeps me connected, keeps me encouraged. There are some days where this is really hard.
Okay, so this is not a question we predetermined, but I think it might be a good way to sort of start wrapping this up. What would Miranda today say to Miranda, who was called into ministry in that church service all those years ago? What would you tell her as an encouragement and a promise?
He is faithful. You're going to make me cry, Leah. Don't cry, Leah. I don't cry.
No, she's not a crier.
Yes. God is faithful. 3 years ago, I sat in that church scared to death.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give up the life that I thought God was asking me. It looked really good. Yeah. I was very happy. Yeah. I wanted to be very successful. There was lots of things Miranda wanted. And so to walk away from it into a very unknown space was very scary. Yeah. And there's still days it's scary. A lot of days are really better than other days. But it would have been really cool if in that moment, when I decided to jump in the belly of the whale, if 3 years later Miranda would have just grabbed me and said, God's faithful. God's faithful.
Just wait and see.
Just God's faithful.
Yeah.
Because he is. God is so faithful. I have seen it. If you want to talk about stones of remembrance, I've got boulders. I've got boulders.
A whole wall.
I've got boulders. I've got chips. I've got stones. People show up at the right time. Things just work out. Storms come, they clear out, and we do better than what we've ever done before. I think God says one thing, things shift, it's uncomfortable, but then God takes it and does something way better than I could have ever done with it. God is faithful. He's faithful, and it's helpful. It's so helpful to just to know that, and to even doing this today and sharing is more helpful to me than it probably is to listeners, because it is a reminder that if he can do this in 3 years, what can he do in 3 more? What will he do? He's taken me around the world. Do you know school teaching, I never went around the world?
No, that's
never.
Right. That's right.
But you know who took me around the world? God. And he didn't take me around to give me a vacation. He took me around to give me a story.
Yeah. And I think you say it's this episode is just for it feels like it's more for you. It's not just for you, but
Yeah.
but if we think about that mission of stepping forward to empower and equip people, if anything, it's to understand that one act of faithfulness unleashes this beautiful storm of God's faithfulness. He will just take any little thing that you do. So if you're a person who's listening or watching who doesn't think that it's possible for that you'll ever be used the way that Miranda was or Stepping Forward is, I challenge that every single second of that sentence coming out of your mouth.
Absolutely.
He can multiply the smallest things and they can have a profound impact. And even if it's something like what happened with Miranda, where a random person gave a little encouragement that just got her to the next big step, that multiplies out in ways we can never see. And so I think it is about his faithfulness. And I think it's about not just looking back, but trusting the future faithfulness, real confidence.
I have way more confidence in what God's going to do next year, in the next year. I mean, there's still fears. There's still things I struggle with. I'm not perfect. I don't know how a lot of things are going to work out, but I do know that he's in it. And I know that when he's not, when I step over the line somewhere, or I'm not hearing, I'm plugged into other things, that he pulls back and he tugs and he's like, no.
Yeah.
No. Just like, let's start over.
I'm thinking about those podcast episodes we did where we talked about the nature of God and the heart of God and his immutability, meaning like the fact that he's unchanging.
Yeah.
That means his love is unchanging. The capacity for him to offer grace and mercy while you're going through something scary or you're taking steps that you're not sure about.
Yeah.
His provision is unchanging.
Yeah. He's faithful.
He's so faithful. That's a good way to end it, isn't it?
Yeah.
God is faithful, people.
Yeah. He is
and we're trying to be faithful at Stepping Forward too.
Yeah. And so, you know what a blessing to have this platform.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really weird to sit on this side of the chair. I've never sat on this side of the chair.
I've never done this side.
I know. Never done this before. But what a blessing. What a blessing to be able to share with you guys how we've seen God move. Like I said, we could do this for hours. I could sit here and tell you for 3 years all the things, and you would probably look at me and be like, I don't believe it.
It's a ton of stories that you're just like, God. That's
there's no
God.
there's no explanation. It's just God. And when you tell people, they're just like, what? And you're just like, yeah. That's been my life. But on the other side of that coin is struggle.
Yeah.
It's a lot of attack. Sometimes there's, a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Do I do this? Do I do that? What's happening? I don't understand this. I can't see that. But God's even faithful in that. He's so faithful. And, over the last 3 years, and I think you more than probably anybody can really testify to this, is I have changed.
Oh yeah.
I am a complete different person.
Well, and I am too from going through it with you. It's changed me too.
I mean, I'm completely a different person.
Yeah.
With a completely different heart. And I know there's more to come.
Oh, that's so good.
I know there's more to come.
Hope.
I'm excited. I'm trying to juggle all the things right now and all the things God's put ahead of me. I do have that personality where it's like, just go do it. But I'm learning that it's, okay, Lord, when do you want to do it? Like you God, you lead, I'll follow. And so, God's faithful. And I want to thank all of you. What a great season to have all the testimonies, and how cool is it to end it like this. I want to encourage you that September 8th, we have our next podcast season. It's our fall podcast, and it's called Out of Context. So if you watch, you're getting like the scoop today. Besides one person, there's one person who's not from Baylor, and that was because I'd already asked them, and I knew for a fact they needed to do it, but everybody else is with Baylor. It is amazing. And I was there and I was learning. It's not a lot of me doing talking. It's really these brilliant people who've studied the Bible for years and years and years. And it was such a blessing to be with them. So if you think you're wondering if you want to come back, I'm telling you, you do. You want to come back September 8th, and you want to check out our new fall season. And we're also going to kind of be doing like a facelift of Stepping Forward Ministries. So we're going to, within this time, we're also going to be switching our webpage over. We've been working on it all summer. It's almost done. We got a few little things to work out, but we're going to get a facelift. And even our podcast cover that Leah has loved for years, it's going to get a facelift. We're working on that too. So you're really going to see, I think after 3 years, you're going to see us come into a new season.
Which is exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
It's exciting.
That means there's growth. Yeah.
So So just like buckle up and enjoy the ride. So I think that's how we're going to end it, guys. God is faithful. And thank you for listening. Thank you for letting Leah and I do our hour and a half spiel, because that's just how it goes with Leah and I. We really do hope you've enjoyed this season. I really encourage you to come back September 8th and catch our fall podcast, which will run through December. We're also working on spring. We're going to be recording spring in October, November, and December. So please pray for that. God put something on my heart. I didn't know how we were going to pull it off.
Yep.
And God said, well, I won't say that. God said, let me show you what I can do. And so we have some amazing seasons coming up. And I think the best is yet to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
We'll see you later, guys. Bye,
Bye.
y'all.
Thank you.